I just found this really weird.
She's a hussy.
So we're back with another episode of Love or Lie Island. So this week's been a funny one. So we had the aftermath of Casa Amor, and the finals in sight. And I feel like now the finals in sight, that's actually what's kind of changing the game for everyone a bit now.
Yeah, I'm calling it Desperate Island right now because they'd mate with anybody or pair off with anybody, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, well, I think someone who's had the biggest kind of journey this week is Luke M. So I'm going to start with him.
If Demi wants to call me for a chat, if he wants to get to know me, or I find like I'm getting on really well with him, I will let you be aware of that.
Yeah. Totally understand your situation. So that's okay, don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I just found this really weird.
She's a hussy, I'm sorry. I actually find with Demi, and I know, again, we all loved her, her body language is probably the most incongruent in there.
Okay.
If you look at the way that somebody's only got to start talking and she's roaring with laughter, her smile looks incongruent, it doesn't meet her eyes. I don't blame her, you know, it's difficult to do that, she's performing for the cameras and everything like that. But she gave him all the talk about kind of almost a goodbye talk, or I quite like you, but I'm going to try. And then I think he only went to put his arm around her for a goodbye hug.
Oh, definitely, yeah. He wasn't going for that at all.
No, she came up and with her tongue out. I mean, it wasn't even just a kiss. It wasn't even just a kind of what's called a guppy kiss, a little one on the lips. She went for it, the full number. It was almost embarrassing to watch. I mean, the close-up of watching her tongue go into his mouth. And she carried on as well. So I think he might get mixed signals from that.
Oh,
it's
definitely.
like having goodbye sex, you know, probably you shouldn't.
And there's been a few kisses that have really made me
I'm glad it's
week,
not just me, because I've been sitting there thinking, oh, I must be getting really prudish, you know what? But that was a bad one, I'm afraid.
Do you think there's, I'm trying to work Demi out, do you think there's chemistry with her and Luke M? Is it for the game, is it for the show, what is it? Because in the beginning of the week I was really shipping them. Yeah. And they kind of seem like quite an obvious choice as a couple.
I think that's the problem. We want them to be. You know, we think, well, we like her. She's quite sweet. She's been dumped by, and he's really been dumped by everybody. And they seem like two really nice. But this is called the attribution bias, where because they've maybe been dumped, we think that they must be a nicer person than maybe they are. They're like everybody else in there, really. So I don't think that just because, you know, she's on the shelf and he's on the shelf and they both look cute and they both got nice personalities. In the real world, we would never pair people up like that.
That is interesting because actually all the heroes of this series, if we can call anyone that, it has been the singletons, isn't it? It's the ones who...
Because we haven't seen them with any option, you know. I mean, I said it last week. If you haven't copped off with anybody, we can imagine that you're wonderful person, would never let anybody down, would never cheat on anybody, but we don't know, you're untested really. So he's got a lovely smile, she's got a lovely smile, but...
Is that it? That's it. That's
there we go, they should be married. They should have children already.
But like I said, Luke M has had kind of, I think the biggest journey this week, but this has just completely blindsided everyone. Let's take a look at this bit here.
What's up, Big Daddy?
Hey, you did it too.
You're right.
Yeah. What are you laughing at?
You have a good gym session?
Yeah, it was alright.
Yeah, you come over glistening as well. You look like God himself.
What's happening over there?
Nothing. I don't...
There's so much going on in that clip with body language.
Like, I was just... Like, what? It just came from nowhere,
and so did everybody. Yeah. I mean, even our closest friends were going, we didn't know about that, I never saw that coming. And what have they got in there to do all day apart from sit around and discuss things like that?
Yeah.
I really do smell a rat, I'm afraid. I don't get that one at all. I think that was very much either out of desperation. You don't suddenly... Oh, actually, you know, I fancy that one over there. They're in such close quarters, you'd know by now. And Mike didn't have an inkling.
No.
She had her shades on, so we couldn't see her eyes, which is a classic cut-off. It means that probably that even she was thinking, will I get away with this one?
What I just said.
yeah, the fact is the only one left. But I was also fascinated with her body language with Mike at that point. Suddenly it was all giggly. She was so tactile with him. And he wasn't really that comfortable with it. I mean, he was sort of sitting hunched. And I think we've got more going on there than just on face value, because their relationship is actually proving to be one of the best narratives in there in a way, with the alpha male of the place. She was the alpha female.
Definitely.
They've been friends. They've been, you're my sister. I hate you, but she's been gunning for him in a lot of the exercises. And I think what she's doing is that she wants protection now. She's turned to the alpha male. She's actually using all these what would be in the animal kingdom grooming the touching, stroking techniques, because she felt let down by him. He didn't stand up for her with the other guys. Why should he? And she wants to make sure that she's got his backing and his protection in future. And if she doesn't, she's going to go for him as she did in that next task.
That's really interesting, actually. But their friendship has silently had this really interesting narrative kind of underlying everything, hasn't it?
They seem to have given up one another quite quickly. I mean, I think she's done a couple of things to him that could have completely knocked his chance of winning.
Well, I think she did, really.
Well, she did, didn't she? I'm beginning to like him. Well, I liked him anyway, but I like a game player in there. I don't care.
It's the TV show, isn't it?
But the minute you get that label, it's the death knell in reality TV.
But what would we do without a game player?
Well, they're all game playing in there. They're all doing it, and they've all now, the clock is now set that they've all got to use their best acting techniques to look as though it's coordinated falling in love all at the same time.
I mean, viewers didn't really buy it. Do you think this is a result of the final being in sight, or do you think it's a result of the Callum and Jamie bashing, I guess?
Yeah, I think maybe Shona has realised that she is in a popular position. I mean, she's watched the show before. She knows this is the kind of amber position that and in fact, that to me reflects a bit on her personality that she's shown in there, because when you watch her going in, she was the tough fighter, and so was Amber, if you remember, last season. And yet, when they went in there, they were a bit feisty at first, then they became a bit quieter, then they got hurt by the guys, and then they went quite submissive, victimish, and then they found somebody that was kind of thrown in like a bag of breadcrumbs for them. I don't think Jamie was the one for that, and I think she's possibly spotted that Jamie might be more interested in some of the other women. And so, who else is left around? The cameraman or Noel. I mean, he's really sweet, and I get that everybody thinks why, but that doesn't mean that. And even Mike said, "You'd eat them for dinner." They're not suited person. I mean, if she is interested in him, she's interested in the same way that she made the mistake with Callum. He's quite compliant. He'll probably do what he's told. He's a lot younger. I don't know whether that's in dog years or real years than her. And so she's got a man that she can control, and she's already realised that doesn't work.
Because it would be quite a maternal relationship, wouldn't it? And again, like you say, it would be exactly like the Callum thing, and that just didn't work, does it?
No. Only as long as he was sitting where no, actually the gap's probably too big here, because she might look away and not see what he was doing. If they're absolutely tied together, I mean, she's got him on reins, her force of personality will probably make it work, but that's not a happy relationship, is it?
I feel like they're probably aware that Luke is a popular choice outside the villa as well. So when we are looking at the finals inside around the corner, do we want a couple that just... I don't think we do. I think if I was in there, they might be like, oh, you're the favourite, I'm the favourite, let's do this.
In fact, they're in a difficult position now, because if they do get together, I think people are just going to be, come on.
Well, I just, people aren't buying it.
No.
I don't buy it.
And if they don't, then I don't know if there's time to send anybody more in for her, but it certainly won't be somebody that would be ideal for... She's also, I don't know, I get that she was hurt by Callum. But how many times did she, even on that date, I mean, every woman in the world knows that on a first date you don't bring up your ex.
Exactly. Straight away.
No, you know, the first rule, you know, did you not see the warning posters on the way in? And she's like a repeat record now, and I think that's a shame because I'm not loving her as much as I used to. She's, you know, maybe she's got enough time to get that ground back.
I'm still Team Shona, but I feel like we haven't seen the best of her this week.
I don't like her picking on Mike all the time. He hasn't really done much, has he? I mean, he's friends with the guys, he's friends with her. She's put him in a very difficult position, I think.
We're actually going to touch on Shona and Mike again now, and Jamie. So I thought this was quite interesting.
If I was just going to be brutally honest, I reckon if I had any mates that were potentially thinking about swearing, I'd probably be like, look mate, hold back.
To me, it weren't a decision, like whether, is it Sean or is it Molly? It was like, as soon as I clicked, I thought, you know what, this is
that
right
was
for
the decision
me.
made. I just think that if anyone was in the position to sort of tell Callum that, especially from a male perspective, that simply isn't on, then I think it would have been me.
So so I thought this was really interesting because I just kind of, what was Jamie's game here? Like, kind of, what was the kind of plan? Is it being a genuine gentleman, or is this just kind of? But I don't know.
The problem when they're going at this stage, I can't even remember the guy that Amber copped off with last year that she won.
Greg.
You know, I'm a gentleman, I'm not like all these other guys. They've watched the whole thing, presumably.
The narrative was so parallel to Amber's, wasn't it?
I know, and then you think, well, now I know what's going to happen at the end, you know, which is not good. But he wanted to go in like the knight on a white horse. And I think, in a way, he probably thinks he's being every woman that's watching's dream man. That you go in and rescue the popular woman, and then you fight. You know, you tell the other guy his fortune. I actually ended up thinking, why is it any of your business, really? You're not going out with her. He's done nothing to you. You'd probably do the same thing if you were in there much longer. And I thought Callum was actually, and you won't hear me say much good about Callum, but I thought he was quite patient, or maybe didn't get it. To just sit there and not say, probably that. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be Callum nice, and not turn around and say, mind your own business. So, you know, it was none of that. And sitting there with a little beard on him, going, you know, well, I think this, that, and the other. Who are you?
But it is who are you? You've just walked in, isn't it? Like, you don't even. You don't know what it's like to be in this villa. Then it's like, well, we'll see how you behave over the next.
I mean, unless he's some relative of Shona's that we don't know about, and I don't even think that people that are Team Shona were particularly. She's got her own mouth.
Well, no one needed it, and she can take care of herself.
Absolutely. And I don't think he speaks for righteous malehood. And I think he probably thought, I'll get all the women will be voting for me because I'm the ideal boyfriend. And sorry, mate, I don't think you are. Yeah, no, totally agree. I thought what was interesting as well was how some of the boys reacted to Jamie's I'm going to confront Callum saga, because there was a very clear, I think Mike is definitely above everyone the most threatened by Jamie. Yeah, and Jamie was trying to sort of partly joke, but, you know, imply that he might move in. He's too late to the show. Yeah. Those guys are very tightly bonded. I mean, what he should have been doing was using some ingratiation techniques to join in with the guys and going in. The point is, I wouldn't mind if somebody like him went in and started sort of mixing it up with the guys a bit. But I don't think he's got the kind of strength of personality to be that person anyway. And they're just like swat him away, really. And do you really think that the women that they're with are going to go, oh, I want him instead of who I've already got? Again, especially I think 10 days before the final. Yeah. Just like, this is, if I'm going to win it, it's going to be here, isn't it? I mean, if Priscilla hangs on to Mike after the cream episode, that thank God I wasn't eating trifle at that point, you know. Or anything. Or even, that was a bit of projectile vomit, and they kind of went back to it again, didn't they? And it was not good. I felt a bit sorry for him then. He was trying his best, wasn't he? Humping the end of the bed. Maybe you see animals, you know, move up a little bit, maybe. You see it on these farming programmes, don't you? No, you miss the wrong way round. He's quite vulnerable in a lot of ways. He's quite funny, I think, as well. I'm not saying I'm Team Mike any more than anybody else, but I'm not sure he's this kind of bad guy that they seem to be presenting him as. Yeah, I think he's softened a bit in the past since Priscilla's come in. And you can't really blame him for moving on in the first couple of weeks. I mean, he wasn't getting anything back, and he was trying to be all Mr. Romantic. And yes, he did move on to the intellectual couple in there. I nearly spat my tea out at that point when she sat there and she went, "We're having so many good intellectual chats."
When?
Even the penguin walked off when Jess said that. She's like, really? I've missed that one.
And yeah, so also with last night, it was a big one for Finn and Paige. If you think of the beginning of the week, he was making this big, bold declaration of, I want you to be my girlfriend.
Yeah, that were a bit cheesy, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're ending the week with this.
There was more than Finn in the villa, and I've not heard anything.
The girls could vouch.
The girls said what I was like.
The paper or the heart tells me different.
The girls are there. The girls are there.
There was a million cameras and fucking mics that was there. People watching.
Yeah.
So Finn's been wearing the I didn't cheat in Castlemore badge of honour, you know, and everyone's been kind of lapping up Finn for it, both in and outside the villa.
Yep.
But he was really excited to go into Castlemore.
Oh, absolutely.
And, you know,
the most excited.
He was the most excited, I think.
Yeah, the point of incontinence, the way he was leaping around.
Exactly. And I thought his face spoke volumes there, actually.
Yeah, he's a bit unlucky for him. He's got very big eyes, and I think you can possibly read him more than some of the others. And he did see Paige. Did you see the tongue go out over the top of the teeth? That's almost like a sign of warfare in the villa. I have to say as well, Shona was looking a bit smug at that point. I don't think that would have scored her many points.
That's her best friend.
I know. Yeah. I almost feel with Shona that she's got this self-belief thing that she's brought in with the baggage, that all men are pretty mean and you can't trust any of them.
It's the great show for you then, isn't it?
Exactly. But, you know, I think for her that's proving her theory right in a way. But I don't, you know, they moan about Mike looking smug. I think she looked incredibly smug at that point. But I'm not sure. I think this will be, cliche, make or break for these two. But everybody, I imagine, unless they really, really are being competitive in there, will now tell her that no, he didn't. He absolutely did nothing. And I think she'll probably end up back with him again. But I think he maybe needs to see her be a bit more angsty as well. I don't think he's seen much of her genuine personality to a certain extent. And I think she's a bit of a warrior, and she, you know, he might actually need to see how quickly she just, you know, it's almost like she wanted to get into a row with him a little bit. I don't blame her. I mean, he's so perfect. But yeah, I don't know whether these two. I think they'll survive it because I think everybody else will make them survive it. But I hope that he was watching her response and he might just check, is she quite the sweet little angel? You know, she's a strong character, and I don't think he's seen that. She's a good character, but I think, as I say, he's just seen that little tip of the iceberg with her.
I think it's interesting what you said about Shona, actually, because if you kind of think at the beginning, I remember she was so adamant that she was going to kind of be in the strongest couple with Callum, and she was really kind of pushing that and projecting that, and now that she's not, I think, yeah, you're probably right that she probably is enjoying the Paige and Finn drama, isn't she?
Yeah, I mean, the misery I wouldn't wish on anybody that she went through, but I think the justification in her body language at the moment that I told you guys. I mean, she's told all of them, hasn't she? You know, don't trust anybody. Yeah. And I think it might actually, and this sounds awful, and I know she wouldn't admit it, but it might have the effect on some inner pain of hers if somebody proves her wrong.
Yeah, which Finn, at least what they thought, that he did disprove her hypothesis, wasn't it? That all men are going to go in there and cheat, and then he came back.
And he kind of hadn't. I don't know where that headline was based on. I don't think there was any point that I nodded off where he was going after one of the women.
He was excited about Castlemore, but it's a bit of a stretch to say his head was turned.
Yeah, I mean, my goodness, I mean, I think any guy, I don't even know how, because he slept outside, I think he got sunburned, didn't he, and everything. I mean, he went to great pains not to. And I think on a show like that, going in as they do, I think that does deserve its own Love Island sainthood anyway, really. And if she expects more than that, then I think she's been a bit of a spoilt brat.
Right. And then we're just going to take a quick look at the preview of tonight's episode. It looks like the drama's kind of coming back tonight, which I'm excited about.
Oh, and can I just shout out Shonice's the eyes are
they're back. They're back.
It's like that, especially something so personal, it's made me very wary of him now.
After the challenge,
Something's obviously been said, so if you're going to do something like that, then I'd rather you just say it because I just can't be asked.
comes the chaos.
I have not done one thing in Casa Amor that I regret.
The headline in black and white tells me different.
I mean, you're right, Paige is going to war. But he...
Metronomic leg.
Was it?
Gesture, yeah. She's almost can't wait to get stuck in. He's probably... This is the trouble. Those couples pretending to be in love, they're actually a little bit annoyed by one another as well. You know, it's a long... Anybody would on a holiday, wouldn't they? And so it's a bit of an outlet for her. But I wonder how long he will sit there being blamed for something that he hasn't done before he gets fed up with that as well. Why should he grovel, really? And she's sitting there on a high horse. But Shanice, you know, well... he shouldn't have told anybody they got naked. She was on camera. I mean, all right, we didn't see it.
We all saw it, but if you want to keep everything private...
Yeah, exactly. You know, stand in the middle of Piccadilly Circus naked, why don't you, and then blame other people for talking about it. Again, right up on the high horse again. And I think Shona, I'm not going to say she will enjoy all of this because that makes her sound mean, and she's not. She's a very warm woman. But I think she'll feel perhaps a little bit more comfortable that it wasn't just her in a way.
Shanice is really interesting. We've touched on it before, how she always is there also so prim, and she is always thinking about how she's being projected, isn't it, all the time?
And he should have seen that. Her main body language gesture is the wagging finger, you know, I'm right, this is how you should be doing it, this is what one should be doing. And that's why somebody's broken her rules. It's a shame because he's a nice guy as well.
And that is the thing, isn't it? It always has to be on her terms, how she's being reflected. And I guess he's almost jeopardised that.
I'm not even sure she cares that much, but you know, she's gone back into that. And we did see those eyes come back again, that he should be very afraid.
Oh God, I'd be terrified.
Unless they're going to use the power to forgive their men for things that they haven't done, and then feel a little bit more powerful and secure in the relationship, which is tragic, really.
And it'd be interesting to see where this one goes. I feel like Paige and Finn and Luke T and Shanice are probably quite safe.
And Molly digging deep into Callum's brain. You just see him, he's trying to rub some thoughts out. He's going to ask Shona to write his script for him again.
Will I cheat? I don't know.
You tell me. I'm waiting to hear what you're going to say.
Yeah. And he just doesn't know, does he?
He doesn't
He can't
know.
make that promise.
He's probably in the wrong show. I don't know. Yeah. But the punchline on this season is, how are you feeling? You know, it's like they're almost scripted to ask that every time they sit down and everything. And that's not Callum's forte, really, is it? His answer would be, you tell me how I'm feeling.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I feel a bit sorry for him, really. That's how I'm feeling.
I feel sorry for us all. But thank you so much, Judy. And join us again next week when we'll be back for another episode of